Hello everyone. On the first day of our presentation, I am dealing with the topic of the representation of the American dream in the Great Gatsby. This is my personal information. Roadmap of the presentation. Today I will discuss first the introduction, then about author, then American dream in literature, then American dream in the Great Gatsby by the character of Daisy, Myrtle, and Gatsby. Then the American dream in Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, then failing of the American dream in both this novel, then conclusion and work citation. So the American dream has been a central theme of American literature since the early 19th century. The American dream has subsequently become a tool for depicting the uniqueness of America. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby and Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man are two classic American novels depicting the American dream in different social and racial contexts. About author, Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald was born in September 24, 1896 at Minnesota, US and died in December 21st, 1940. Hollywood, California. He was an American short story writer and novelist, famous for his depiction of the jazz as his most brilliant novel being The Great Gatsby. These are his notable works. This quotation shows the American dream. The American dream in literature in 19th century, we could find the American dream in so many literature, either in a good way or in a bad way. And Jim Cullen tried to define the term the American dream, and he said that American dream does not revolve around one single definition but includes religion transformation, political reform, education attainment, sexual expression. The list is endless. Then Frederick Carpenter also tried to define the term. The American dream has been defined as one of the motivating forces of American civilization. Literature on the American dream explained that the Puritans and the founding fathers created guidelines based on moral and liberalist ideas. We could, as I said, that we could find the American dream in literature in a good manner or in a bad manner. Every writer of 19th century tried to display the American dream. Through American literature, we can trace the American dream as the representation of hope and idealism turned into disillusionment, depravity, and falsity. 19th century writers like Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, and Walt Whitman wrote of the emerging US democracy and hymned man's love for the land. And the dark side also shown by the writers like Edgar Allan Poe, Henry James, and Mark Twain, who became disillusioned by a changing America and wrote of finance, capitalism, industrialism, and social corruption. We have so many works on the theme of the American dream. Twain's suggestion that the American dream was flawed at its core was further explored during the early 19th century, early 19th, 20th century by Scott Fitzgerald. It became a trend for 20th century writers to personify the dream as a beautiful young woman, such as Daisy Buchanan in The Great Gatsby, the beautiful but vivacious Fairy Girl of George F. Babbitt in Sinclair Lewis Babbitt, and Faye Greener in The Day of Locust. Thomas Wolfe, William Faulkner, and John Steinbeck have as modern American writer written about the dream's hollowness. Then the American dream in The Great Gatsby. The American values changed during the roaring 20s as white Americans were able to accumulate a great wealth. Because of a rising advertisement industry, citizens were nourishing with new ideas about the American dream. American during 1920s was a country where civilized started to compare material possessions with their own self-worth. In The Great Gatsby, this is shown in the possessive behavior of the protagonist with their large mansion and luxurious cars. Fitzgerald criticized the materialist outlook of their characters by depicting their lives as tragic and sorrowful as their material accomplishments failed to bring them happiness. We could find the American dream by the character of Daisy and Myrtle. Fitzgerald represents the American dream through a beautiful woman, Daisy Buchanan. By marrying the wealthy Tom Buchanan, Daisy has reached the fullest stature and is better and fuller in the eyes of Gatsby. Moreover, she comes from a family of status and was born under fortunate circumstances of birth and position, makes Daisy a desirable woman and links her to the American dream. This depictive nature of Daisy can be read as the Fitzgeraldian criticism of the wealthy elite class. Then the character of Myrtle, another characterization that allows Fitzgerald to criticize the social structure of 1920s America is Myrtle Wilson, whose character demonstrates the American dream's impact on the frenetic quest for wealth. Myrtle desires a richer and better life through escaping her husband and possessing material things, regardless of whether Myrtle is subconsciously aware of the American dream. She believes in the power of ownership, material things, and their ability to create happiness. Her fundamental belief in materialism may be why Fitzgerald dooms her flawed character by sentencing her to a cruel death. Then the Gatsby's pursuit of the dream, we could find mostly the American dream by the character of J. Gatsby. The protagonist accomplished one element of Jim Cullen's definition of the American dream, in the sense that the American dream was never meant to be a zero-sum solution. The goal has always been to end up with more than you started with. We can connect the J. Gatsby with the definition of Jim Cullen. He said that no man became richer by birth, and this is proven by Jay Gatsby. Wealthy individual acquire their riches not from salaries but from shares or investments. An individual acting solely for the sake of making money risk become blind and missing the deeper, more meaningful themes of the American dream. Gatsby's change shows the duplicity of his character and the belief in the American dream. His attributes are honorable and inspiring. However, in due course, the same characteristics result in his death, which define Gatsby as a tragic protagonist. The dichotomy of Gatsby can be interpreted as a dark side of the American dreams, ideas derived by the expectations of the upper class in the growing consumeristic American society. We could also find the American dream in Ralph Ellison's the novel Invisible Man. Ralph Ellison's 1950s novel Invisible Man, depicting the misadventures of a nameless young African American narrator from graduating high school to the intense race tensions in Harlem. The protagonist's physical journey and psychological development is marked by his invisibility in society and the racist structure of early 20th century America. His invisible man's eagerness to be acknowledged and the racism he suffered, which obstructs his American dream. In Invisible Man, we find the invisibility and racism. The nameless narrator's journey can be discussed from the set of dreams that he aspires to fulfill. For the protagonist and his fellow college students, Booker T. Washington's rhetoric is the gospel of the American dream. His influence is supposed to be a force of enlightenment, but over time it is depicted more and more as blinding and restricting for the invisible man. Ellison began his novel by letting his narrator and protagonist acknowledge that he is an invisible man who might never be said to possess a mind. I, invisible man, understand simply because people refuse to see me. The novel's opening cements the belief that other people view the protagonist as a less intelligent human being because of his race, or that white people are not deemed by society to understand African Americans because they are believed to have different minds. The protagonist believes strongly that all it takes is only to work and learn and survive in order to go to the top. Even if we accept the fact that he truly does that, he fails to reach the top and instead ends up hiding away in his basement, thinking about his agonizing dream like chronicles. His belief in the American dream is destroyed because he exists in an unequal society, a fact he cannot change. The invisible man possesses the liberalities derived that the early American thinkers value so highly, but his blindness and the racist ideology which he exists in disillusions him. In similar fashion, Gatsby disillusion is caused by the personal deficiency, his blind love for Daisy of his past, and social structure, the historic quest for wealth. No matter how hard the invisible man tried to show his worth with rhetoric skills of or hard labor, white racist and social structure stand in his way. Then, in both the novel, we could find the failing of American dream. In the novel, The Great Gatsby, the symbol of the green light, it shows the failing of the American dream. The green light in the Great Gatsby stand as a symbol for the failure of the American dream. The Great Gatsby's version of the American dream is the eagerness within people to reach towards something that is out of reach, something greater than themselves. Three instances of green light symbolize in representation and the American dream. We could find three scenes in from the novel that shows the failing of the American dream. First is in chapter 1, the light is mysteriously described by the narrator. It is almost as if the narrator is not sure about where the light is coming from. The light is undeniably a physical object in the novel, but also the light seems to stand for a philosophical idea. Then, second, when Gatsby is showing the light to Daisy, here instead of an almost magical light appearing in the distance, the light is described as something of colossal significance that has been lost, or perhaps that a symbolic component has ceased to exist. Gatsby here realized that Daisy and the green light and his American dreams are all regular to him. In this second scenes, Gatsby realized that the American dreams is true for him. Then the final encounter with the green light is during the novel's final paragraph, where the light no longer remains a visible object. Gatsby is now dead, Daisy gone, and the narrator no longer resides in Long Island. The green light only exists in the narrator's memory. Ellison and Fitzgerald's protagonist highlights the characters' respective search for the American dream. Ellison's hero reaches the conclusion that he cannot view his dream as a political, financial, territorial, or religious prize to be won at the end of the road, because this would violate its original promise. His journey shows strong evidence for the failure of the American dream, and the narrator realizes toward the end of the novel in order to redefine his outlook and himself before the novel ends. Jay Gatsby and Myrtle Wilson, on the other hand, lack the clarity to see their respective doomed paths until it is too late. Gatsby and Myrtle are unable to reach the social class to which they aspire, and thus are victims of the ideology of the American dream. In conclusion, Fitzgerald's representation of the American dream in the characters Daisy Buchanan, Myrtle Wilson, and Jay Gatsby, with special attention paid to Fitzgerald's criticism of the consumerism of the 1920s. Ralph Ellison's protagonist has shown that he desires to be acknowledged in a society defined by racist structure. The Invisible Man narrates the American dream from his own perspective, while Nick Carraway, as an outsider, can see the dream's fatal impact on Wilson and Jay Gatsby. Nick Carraway cannot stop their fate, as this is only something the individual can understand, as the invisible man realizes. These are work citation. Thank you.